When God speaks, time bows. When He declares a promise, creation aligns itself to make it come to pass. You are not late. You have not missed your moment. Heaven's clock has not failed to remember you. Love is not lost. It is simply in motion. You see, when God is writing your story, He doesn't rush. He takes His time because He is eternal. Every delay, every quiet night, every tear you've shed thinking, maybe it's too late for me, is actually a chapter of preparation, not punishment. God wants you to understand this deeply, that His timing is never off. He's not preparing love in a hurry. He's preparing a love that will last. There were moments you thought you'd be married by now. Moments when you saw others celebrating love while you stood in silence, pretending you were fine. But deep inside, you whispered, "Lord, when will it be my turn?" Heaven heard that whisper. God didn't ignore your cry. He simply said, "Not yet, my child, because I am not sending just anyone. I am sending the one." And when it happens, you will realize why it took so long. The waiting season is not a wasted season. God is building something sacred in your heart. He's teaching you patience, discernment, and strength. You have been learning to love without rushing, to hope without forcing, to trust without seeing. Every unanswered prayer was training your faith. Every broken relationship was redirecting your path. You see, God didn't allow those connections to last because they were never meant to hold your destiny. You thought they were the answer, but God knew they were only the lesson. He wants you to be ready not just for a wedding, but for a covenant, a love that mirrors His heart, gentle, patient, forgiving, and rooted in faith. That's why He took some people out of your life. That's why some things didn't work out. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were chosen. The kind of love God is preparing for you is different. It will not drain your spirit. It will feed your soul. It will not confuse you. It will bring you peace. Sometimes, the reason you feel delayed is because God is working behind the scenes, aligning two hearts that are being healed separately. Maybe the one meant for you is also learning, growing, healing, and being prepared. God does not unite two broken souls to fix each other. He restores them individually so they can build something beautiful together. You've been faithful through seasons of silence. You've prayed even when you saw no result. You've stayed hopeful when your hope was mocked. And that kind of faith never goes unrewarded. Heaven takes note of every tear you've cried in faith. God has a timeline written in grace, and love is on that schedule. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are right on time for what God is preparing to reveal. There's a divine rhythm to your life. You can't see it, but heaven moves in perfect synchronization. Sometimes it looks like nothing is happening, but in the unseen realm, your story is unfolding. God is aligning people, opportunities, and seasons for your good. He's not only preparing your spouse, He's preparing you. He's shaping your heart to receive what you prayed for. Because sometimes we think we're ready, but readiness isn't about desire. It's about maturity. God knows the version of you that will love deeply, forgive quickly, and build faithfully. That version is who He's preparing to meet your promise. You see, divine love requires divine timing. If you rush ahead, you might meet someone who looks right but is not aligned. But when you wait, you meet someone whose soul was molded to fit yours, not by chance but by design. You are not late. You are being aligned. And alignment always feels like delay before it feels like destiny. You've seen others post their engagements, their weddings, their anniversaries, and it's okay to celebrate them. But remember, your path is unique. You are not walking by human calendar. You are walking by divine purpose. What God is preparing for you will not resemble anyone else's story. It will be yours, personal, powerful, and filled with peace. When God finally reveals your love story, you'll understand that the waiting was mercy. Because if you had settled earlier, you would have missed the one God handcrafted for your soul. Sometimes, God delays the promise to protect its purity. He wants you to have something that will last beyond emotion, beyond attraction, something that reflects His heart. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and say, "Lord, thank you for every delay." Because those delays were divine detours that kept you from heartbreak, manipulation, and compromise. God is never late. He's strategic. When He brings two people together, it's not coincidence, it's covenant. There are moments when loneliness whispers lies into your mind. It tells you everyone is moving on but you, but God says you are right on time. The blessing I'm preparing for you requires perfect timing. If I gave it too soon, it might not be valued. If I gave it too late, it might be missed. But when I give it at the right time, it will flow effortlessly. Some seasons are meant to refine you, not define you. This waiting season is making you wiser, stronger, and more sensitive to God's voice. You've learned what peace feels like, and that's important, because your future spouse will bring peace, not confusion. You'll recognize them not by what they say, but by the peace they carry. God's timing produces clarity, not chaos. Don't compare your timeline to others. You are not late, you are being refined. The love that God is preparing for you is not instant. It's intentional. When it comes, it will fit perfectly into your purpose. That's why you're growing spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. God is shaping your heart to handle a partnership that will carry His glory. He's teaching you that love is not about perfection, but connection. Not about status, but service. Not about possession, but purpose. The one He's sending will not complete you. They will complement you. Together, you will serve, build, and glorify God through your union. That's why He's asking you to trust His process. Your waiting is not in vain. Heaven records faithfulness, and yours has been seen. You are walking through preparation disguised as delay. But soon, what felt like waiting will turn into fulfillment. You'll realize that God didn't make you wait. He made you ready. And readiness always precedes revelation. Remember this: delay does not mean denial. God's promises are not forgotten. They are unfolding. Every prayer you've whispered about love has been heard. Every dream you've buried under disappointment is still alive in heaven's memory. God has written your story in ink that cannot fade. There's a moment coming when everything will align. When the right person will enter your life, not by luck, but by divine timing. You won't have to chase or prove yourself. They will recognize you by spirit. The peace you've prayed for will walk into your life in the form of a person who honors your faith, values your heart, and cherishes your presence. You are not late. You are being positioned. God has been working behind the curtain, preparing hearts, healing wounds, and clearing paths. You thought you were waiting, but heaven has been working. Every not yet from God was an invitation to trust Him deeper. One day soon, love will arrive. Right on time, not early, not late. It will come when your heart is ready, when your purpose is aligned, and when God whispers, "Now." You'll look back and understand that this season was sacred, that the waiting taught you endurance, faith, and wisdom. You'll realize that love isn't something you find, it's something God reveals. The promise still stands. Love is coming, and when it comes, it will stay. There are moments when the waiting feels endless. Nights when silence feels heavier than your prayers. You scroll through messages that never came. You replay memories that no longer serve you. and you wonder if love somehow forgot your address. But God says, you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are in my plan. Every heartbeat that aches for connection is seen by heaven. Every longing that you try to hide beneath strength is known by the one who made your heart. Sometimes it's not that love is delayed, it's that you are being developed. God is teaching you the depth of love through His own nature. Before He gives you someone to love, He first teaches you how to love like Him, unconditionally, patiently, faithfully. Because the love He's preparing you for will require spiritual maturity. It won't just be about affection. It will be about purpose. You've walked through heartbreak, and though it felt cruel, it was cleansing. Those seasons purified your intentions. You learned to love without losing yourself. You discovered that you can be whole even when someone walks away. That was growth. Quiet, unseen, holy growth. And that growth made you ready for something real. God doesn't build temporary things. He builds eternal ones. The kind of love He's preparing for you will not crumble when tested. It will be tested, yes. Every divine connection is refined by fire, but it will stand because it was born in prayer, not in haste. That's why your path feels slower than others. You are not being punished. You are being perfected. You've looked at your age, your timeline, your friends' milestones, and you've thought, maybe I missed my turn. But heaven has no traffic. There is no delay in God's schedule. There's only precision. The one meant for you cannot be early or late because divine timing is flawless. You are not missing out. You are being matched in spirit and purpose. Every time you prayed, Lord, send me someone who will love me like you do, God took that seriously. That's why He's taking His time. He's not giving you someone who will love you halfway. He's sending someone who will honor you in full, not just your beauty, but your calling, your faith, your dreams. Someone who won't just say, I love you, but will show it through consistency, prayer, and peace. You may feel lonely now, but that loneliness is the soil where divine love will bloom. Loneliness is not a curse. It's a classroom. In it, you've learned how to be content in God's presence. You've learned to find peace without needing validation. You've learned to pray, not out of desperation, but out of devotion. And because of that, when love arrives, it won't define your worth. It will add to your purpose. God has been preparing your table. You may not see it, but everything is being arranged. The one He's preparing for you is being refined in the same fire. They're learning lessons too. Patience, humility, spiritual alignment. One day when your paths finally cross, it will feel natural, effortless, and divine. It won't be chaos. It won't require guessing. It will be peace, because it will be God. Don't mistake stillness for stagnation. God's silence is not absence. His silence often means, I'm working. You've prayed, cried, and surrendered, but now God is saying, rest. Because rest is faith in motion. When you rest, you're telling God, I trust you enough not to worry. That kind of trust invites miracles. There's a sacred truth about divine timing. It humbles your heart before it heals it. It teaches you to release control, to stop forcing outcomes, and to start aligning with peace. You've spent years trying to make things happen, but this love story won't require striving. It will flow. The right person will not make you beg for attention. They will meet you with intention. You've been asking God, why does love take so long for me? But what if the answer is that He's building something unbreakable? Something so rooted in faith that storms won't shake it. You can't rush that kind of foundation. You can't microwave divine love. God is a master craftsman. He builds with precision, not pressure. Every rejection you faced was redirection. Every person who walked away made space for something better. You didn't lose love, you lost what wasn't love. And now God is leading you toward what is. It's coming quietly, without announcement, but it's coming. You'll recognize it not by fireworks, but by peace. Peace will be your confirmation. Peace will be your answer. The one who's meant for you will feel like home, not because they're perfect, but because they're aligned. You'll feel it in your spirit before you see it with your eyes. God's hand will be evident. The same way you once forced connections, you won't need to force this one. It will just fit. Sometimes you've blamed yourself for failed relationships. You've wondered if you were too much, too emotional, too spiritual, too different. But God says, you were never too much. They were just not enough to handle your purpose. You carry a rare light, and not everyone can handle divine energy. That's why you were set apart, not left out. The waiting has refined your standards. You no longer crave what's shiny. You crave what's holy. You're no longer desperate for attention. You desire connection. That shift is powerful because it means your heart has matured. God can now trust you with a partner who matches your purpose, not just your loneliness. And that partner, the one designed for you, is being drawn closer. Every prayer, every act of obedience, every moment you chose peace over pressure has positioned you nearer to that divine encounter. Love is not running from you. It's running toward you at God's pace. One day, you'll wake up and realize the waiting was over. But it didn't end with a bang. It ended quietly, beautifully, with someone who feels like peace. Someone who doesn't just enter your life, but fits in it. Someone who makes you say, "This is what I prayed for." God's timing will make you forget the pain of waiting. Just like Sarah, who laughed when she held Isaac, you will smile again, not because life got easier, but because God kept his word. Every promise he made will manifest. You will not be late to love. You will arrive exactly when heaven intended, so don't rush, don't chase, don't compromise. What's yours will recognize you. You won't have to fight for it to stay. You won't have to perform for it to choose you. When it's God's timing, love won't be confusing. It will be clear. In this in-between season, protect your peace. Protect your faith. Keep becoming the person God called you to be. The more you grow in grace, the more aligned you become with the one meant for you. Divine love doesn't meet you where you were. It meets you where you're ready. When love arrives, it will not just fill your heart. It will expand your purpose. You'll find yourself dreaming again, believing again, and worshiping with gratitude instead of worry. That's what divine love does. It reminds you of God's faithfulness. There will be days when doubt whispers, "Maybe you missed it," but silence that thought with faith. You are not late. You are living right on schedule. God is weaving a story that will inspire others to trust his timing. He is preparing a moment where everything aligns: your healing, your maturity, your calling, and your connection. That moment will come suddenly, but it will have been prepared quietly for years. Love will not surprise God. It will fulfill his plan. And when it happens, you will understand that this wait wasn't wasted. You'll realize that while you were waiting, God was working. While you were growing weary, heaven was arranging divine alignment. While you were praying, God was answering in silence. The blessing that's coming won't be small. It won't be temporary. It will be the kind of love that restores your faith in divine timing. The kind that makes you say, "Now I understand why I had to wait." Because what God is preparing for you is not just love, it's legacy. You are not behind. You are right where you need to be. The one meant for you is being guided by the same hand that's guiding you. Trust that. Believe it, rest in it. Because soon the story will shift, the silence will break, and love will arrive, right on time. The waiting season often feels like standing at a closed door, hearing life move on behind it, wondering if anyone will ever open it for you. You have smiled through the ache, encouraged others while battling your own silence, and convinced yourself to keep believing even when it hurt to hope. Yet through all of that, God was watching, not with disappointment, but with tenderness. Because He knows how long you've held on. He knows the strength it takes to keep faith alive when everything around you tells you to give up. And He whispers again, "You are not late. Every chapter of your life has been building toward the promise. Every heartbreak carved space in your heart for deeper love. Every delay taught you to rely not on people, but on God. And when love finally arrives, you'll realize it wasn't random. It was woven through divine timing, crafted by the one who knows your heart better than anyone ever could." There's a sacred rhythm to divine timing. It often looks like slowness, but carries precision. God has never been too early, and He will never be too late. When He brings two souls together, it's not coincidence. It's completion. You've both been on separate journeys of becoming, both walking through fire that purifies rather than destroys. One day soon, those paths will meet. And when they do, it will feel like peace wrapped in recognition. You won't have to ask if it's right. Your spirit will already know. Maybe you've wondered why some people came into your life only to leave. But those departures were part of your preparation. God had to clear the noise so you could hear His voice. Some relationships were lessons, not lifetimes. They weren't meant to stay. They were meant to shape, and though it hurt, it was holy. Because through that pain, you learned discernment, the ability to recognize what carries God's peace and what doesn't. That wisdom is your shield for the future. When your time comes, you'll see why God said no before. You'll see that His no was never rejection. It was redirection. He was guiding you away from people who couldn't handle the depth of your spirit toward someone who will treasure it. The person He's preparing for you will understand your silence, value your peace, and pray for you when life feels heavy. They will not compete with your purpose. They will complement it. Together you will walk as partners in calling, not just companions in comfort. Divine love arrives when two souls have learned to love God first. That's why the waiting feels sacred. It's not punishment. It's purification. God is aligning your heart with His will so that when love enters, it doesn't distract you. It deepens you. And when you finally meet the one meant for you, it won't be a storm. It will be still waters. You'll breathe differently. You'll rest differently. Because peace will have a face. There will come a morning when you'll realize that you're no longer waiting. You're living in the answer. You'll wake up beside the promise and remember the nights you cried yourself to sleep. You'll smile because every tear had purpose. Every delay had reason. Every prayer had weight in heaven. Love will arrive not to fix you, but to join you in the healing God already started. It will feel like home after a long journey, like the completion of a divine circle that began with your first prayer for love. But until that day, keep becoming, keep praying, keep trusting, because the more you grow in grace, the more ready you are to receive. God is not only preparing your partner, He's preparing the version of you who can sustain what you prayed for. Love is easy to receive. It's harder to steward. And that's what God is teaching you in this quiet time. How to hold love with wisdom, how to nurture it with patience, and how to protect it with prayer. There's a reason God took his time with you. You were never meant for ordinary love. Your heart carries too much light, too much purpose, too much calling. The love God has for you must be one that honors all of that. It must be a partnership that magnifies his glory, not one that distracts you from it. That's why he's asking you to keep your faith anchored, not in outcomes, but in his character. Because when you trust who he is, you stop worrying about when it will happen. In God's calendar, nothing is delayed. Everything arrives when it's meant to. He knows the day, the hour, and the moment when your heart will meet its divine reflection. And when that time comes, you won't need signs, and peace will be your confirmation. You'll feel rest, not rush. Assurance, not anxiety. You'll feel God smiling through the connection. So keep walking. Keep believing. Every lonely night has been planting seeds of strength. Every unanswered prayer has been watering the soil of your future. One day, those seeds will bloom. The person meant for you will see the beauty that God has cultivated in silence. They will recognize your worth without explanation because heaven will have whispered your name to their spirit long before you meet. Your story is still unfolding. Don't measure it by someone else's timeline. God writes different stories for different souls, but the author is always faithful. What he promised you will not return void. It may not happen the way you imagined, but it will happen the way it's meant to. And when it does, you'll see that divine timing was never about delay. It was about destiny. You are not late. You are right on time for what heaven is preparing to reveal. The same God who parted seas, raised promises from ashes, and restored lost years is orchestrating your love story. When you finally step into it, everything will make sense. The waiting will make sense. The loneliness will make sense. The silence will make sense, because you'll see that God was never withholding love. He was perfecting it. Love will arrive. Not the kind that fades when tested, but the kind that deepens through prayer. The kind that speaks peace into chaos, that prays with you in storms, that builds with you when it's hard. The kind that feels like grace wearing human skin. That love is on its way, right on time, so breathe, rest, trust. You haven't missed your season. You are walking through it. And every step you take in faith brings you closer to the promise. If these words speak to your heart, like this video, comment, "I trust God's timing," and subscribe for more moments of divine encouragement. Your peace matters. Your story is sacred. And love, your love, will arrive right on time.